Oh yeah.
Uh,
Heidi, thanks for being
Hello.
here. How are you?
I love that you just asked before we turn the microphones on. What do you want me to call you?
Yeah, I know. I said because some people are funny. They're like, no, I want you to refer to me with my official title. Some people like just call me Pete. So
Well, true. You do sometimes talk to doctors and, people with big followings on Instagram. And then you've got good old Heidi here. Just boring
Heidi,
old Heidi.
you've got a great Instagram. Nothing wrong
Oh,
with your
thank
Instagram.
you.
How
You've
long
been
have you,
stalking me.
you pop up? I'm selective with who I want to see in my feed, so it doesn't get full
Oh,
of shit. But yeah,
I
no,
feel
you're
very,
a favorite.
thank you. I feel privileged.
Well, you're one of those people that just are positive, brightens a mood, and if you're having a shit day, Heidi pops up. It's better. That's good.
Oh, that should literally be my bio on Instagram. For those who don't know who I am, you can stalk me at _ Heidi Anderson, and that's going to be my new bio. Literally keeps you positive, brightens your day. Is that what you said? Something like that.
Absolutely. I'd have it there. Anyway, what are you up to?
I'm actually escaping family life at the moment. So I'm sitting in a cool little villa down in Mandurah in Western Australia, about an hour from our house, looking out on the beach right now. I've escaped my toddler and my husband, who are both in isolation.
You're lucky a getaway. How do you get those?
How do I get?
How do you get the getaway? I need one.
Oh, do you know what? We have a deal, hubby and I. So we've been together 9 years this year. We've had our little boy, he's nearly 3. One of the big things that we said, and I know you're crazy, you got 5 children, so I don't know how you would ever tap out with your Jasmine, but we have a thing where we, like, if we need to tap out, we come to each other and we say, like, it's time to tap out. I need to take like a couple of days out or a day or whatever. And it's just when we need to recharge and reset. Like, I've had COVID recently. He's now got it. We've all been stuck in the house for a couple of weeks together. And, like, I'm going through like some crazy healing journey at the moment. I'm doing all the personal development stuff. So I just haven't felt like myself. So I've tapped out of life. And here I am talking to you in this little villa at a secret getaway.
You're very lucky. You know what? My getaway, you said you're from New South Wales before. You said you worked at Newcastle.
Yeah.
Did you ever go down the South Coast?
Yes, I used to go to the South Coast a lot. Yeah.
Have you been down to Lake Conjola?
Haven't been to Lake Conjola. No. Where is that, near Bateman's Bay?
No, it's just before Ulladulla, maybe 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah. So I used to go to Shell Harbour all the time, where my auntie used to live. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, beautiful spot. I love that place, and it's good there because we obviously take all the kids along, and it's got
But that's
cabins
not a
there.
getaway then. If the kids are there, you've got 5. Like, that's not an escape tap out moment.
Yeah, but you know what? This is going to sound maybe a little bit strange, but my kids, I look at them, like, especially my 2 oldest ones, they're more friends. Like, obviously I'm their dad, but we have that really cool relationship where we'll sit there and we'll play. It lets me go back to my childhood. So we sit there and play some PlayStation, and I've got an excuse to do it. So it's cool.
I do love that. It's funny you say that. I literally just bought a doll for my little boy Memphis. I bought 3 dolls, so we can play dolls. Me, husband, and him can all play dolls together. Because I was like, God, sometimes we do have to go back to our childhood. That's like some of the personal development stuff that I've been doing. Like, because we spend so much time being, like, so serious about fucking life, and like it can be really stressful, as we all know, especially the last couple of years. And some of the deep work that I've been doing, they're like, you got to go back to your inner child. So the other day I went to Kmart, pulled out Barbie dolls. I could buy Kmart Barbie dolls for $4.50. Like, you probably know that. Like, Kmart is the place to be. I was like, holy shit. We used to pay like $30 for a Barbie doll back in the day. Now that you can buy them for $4.50. So I bought 3.
It's the only thing that's gone backwards. Everything else has gone up.
Yeah.
We're into Marvel. So we get you've seen Doctor Strange. You don't like Marvel?
I can't get into it.
Oh man, you're not even missing out on. Seriously, you got to go back to the beginning. But I didn't watch a single Marvel movie till about probably 6 months ago. Now I've watched every single one of them.
And what's so good about it for someone like me, who just I pretty much am rolling my eyes like, fucking hell, really?
Yeah,
what's so good about it?
It's like I'm not into sci-fi. I fucking can't stand sci-fi. Star Trek, Star Wars, not into it.
No,
it's horrible.
way. Yeah.
Right. So, but what I like with the Marvel movies, they're set. The majority of them are set on Earth, right? So a lot of it's relatable, and they go to school and do normal shit. And then they have like Spider-Man, for an example. He's a normal guy, but he can fucking shoot webs from his hand, right? So there's like a level of reality, I guess, in it. But once you get, like, as I said from the beginning, like you learn all their stories and they all tie in together. It's incredible. Like the people who create that are geniuses. It all ties in together. And it's just like this one big world. Like, I don't know. Once you start watching it, you'll get it. You'll understand.
Okay,
it.
what would your superpower be?
Oh, that's a good one. My superpower. Flying. That's all I want to do. I love to just fly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you could just get on a plane and do that, or
Yeah, but I love to just fly down the road. I want to go to the shop.
yeah, I
just
know what you mean.
No parking.
Yeah.
You have to worry about parking. Just
Yeah.
straight into the shop. That and probably Thor's hammer's pretty cool.
Oh,
Thor's hammer's
yes.
cool.
Oh my God, Thor, he's Marvel. Of course. Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, okay. You've sold me.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll go watch
There we go.
that. Yeah.
The new one.
I'm
His new
sold
movie's
with Chris
coming out.
Hemsworth. Oh, what's the new one? Oh, this
Thor.
should be like a promo for Marvel, by the way. Like
know,
you
it
might
should be
have
a-
to get them on to sponsor this.
Paid promotion. No, Thor, I can't think what it's called. Love and Thunder or something. It's the new one. We just went out on, was it Sunday night? Me, my brother, and the kids went out to see the new Doctor Strange. Who creates portals. No, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, see, I don't know.
No.
I'm like, it sounds strange.
It does sound strange, right? But I don't know. I love it. And I don't know. Like I'm into it more than the kids at times. Like, I
Yeah.
get
Well,
right into
it sounds like from the inner child work that I'm doing, Chris, that you are actually enjoying your inner child work.
Yeah, but so I never watched anything like that when I was a kid. I watched Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon.
Yeah. See,
I still watch
I never
Dragon
got
Ball
into
Z.
Pokemon. See, I never got into that. I watched Barbies or Strawberry Shortcake, but that's probably showing my age. Like I'm 38, so I can't even remember everything that we watched as kids.
Yeah, no, the big ones with Dragon Ball Z. They're cool. You can watch them today. I can still watch them and not get bored. I couldn't watch Pokemon now. Fuck, I couldn't do it. But
oh, like what is even Pokemon? But anyway.
but yeah, no. So you got to embrace your childhood and go back and have. That's what I love about having kids. One of the best parts about it is you can just exit adulthood and go back to your childhood, have some fun, have a laugh, innocent fun.
Yes.
Switch off from stress for a period of time.
Yeah, but they also in sometimes when you are stressed, trigger the fuck out of you. And that's where I've been. Like, because Memphis he's a toddler, right? So he's 2.5. As you remember those, like yes, but not always, like those big emotions. And like hubby goes to work early in the morning, and so I have him in, like, I gave up breakfast radio to be a mum and follow some of my things that I like, personal projects that I was working on. And so I always had like big crazy mornings, like with chaos in like breakfast radio. And then when Memphis was born, we had all these peaceful nice mornings going to the beach. And then now he's a fucking toddler. I get screamed at every morning because I'm not feeding him snacks for breakfast. And it triggers me, like, you know what I mean? It triggers me like no end. I'm like, fuck, why doesn't your dad get this crazy little shit? But he's always just pushing the buttons with me. So that is why I'm tapped out right now.
Oh, you know what? It's typical though. My kids are the same. They push them. Then they know how to push their mother. And when it comes to me, they know I'm very no, like just no. If no, I don't give them any room for negotiation. If you want a snack, that's okay. You can have some fruit. That's it. You're not having fruit cake or fruit filled lollies. You're having fruit, the actual fruit. So I'm very firm with what they can and can't do. With their mum's more, I wouldn't say she's not a pushover, but she's very one won't hurt. So.
I know. This is you sound like my husband. Like he's like, he needs some firm boundaries and this and that. I'm like, he's fucking 2.5. No, he doesn't. He needs love and compassion. And he's like, well, it's not really working for you, is it? And I'm like, it was watching Bananas in Pajamas the other day, and bloody the Bananas in Pajamas told him that he needed to have a treat. And so that just started World War III, because I was like, we're not having a bloody treat at 8:30 in the morning. Like, we've just eaten breakfast. And he was, and that's what I mean. Like, it just doesn't stop sometimes. It's just like a whirlwind. And I think when, you've got shit going on in your head, which sometimes does happen to me, being the anxious overthinker that I can associate myself with, sometimes I'm like trying to solve the world's problems in my brain. And he's like, triggering me, like pushing all my buttons, and I'm not present, which is something that I really like to be with him. And so I think they trigger us for the best, like, reasons. But yeah, it's been, motherhood is a ride.
It's very tough. And I've been a father since I was, I think, 16. So I was very young.
Oh my God. Did
My
you
son
guys
was
have
born.
Wow,
No, so my oldest son, he was if I'm being very honest, a one night stand that went horribly wrong.
Yeah.
When I was 15, 16, 15. And he was, don't get me wrong, I still have a relationship with his mother. Everything's fine. There's no animosity or hatred, none of that. We got on well.
Yeah.
And you have to get on well when you've got a teenager, right? So and then I've got the 4 to Jasmine, who you met just before. So it was it's been good. You learn a lot, you're constantly learning, and I think, finding ways that you can improve. I think a lot of it's self-reflection. It's us.
Yes.
And our moods, and just because we've got a million and one stresses, right? The kids have no stress, or they don't have they've got nothing to worry about. So
he's stressed about the fucking snack. Like, that's his biggest stress in the world,
That's right. Yeah, but it seems like the world's ending for them, right, over a snack. So, but I've learned that it's a lot of the time it is me. So I'm constantly reevaluating myself as a father, and ways I can improve and all different things. But it's rewarding, but very tough. But it was the 4 that I've had, obviously, as I've been a little bit older, is a lot easier. I mean, it was difficult. I was 16, 17 years old going through children's court for custody, and I was a fucking child. So different. Well, that's why I have a few grey hairs, I think. I put it down to that. That's my grey hairs are from that.
Yeah, I definitely started a lot later than you. I mean, I was probably having sex at 16. Yeah, I was. Like, look, my mum's probably not going to listen to this podcast. Yeah, I did have sex when I was 16, but I didn't, get knocked up or anything like that. And I had my first child at 37. So I did it a fair few years later than you.
Yeah, but you know what? There's benefits of both. I mean, obviously, with you having a child at your age, you're more knowledgeable, and you're a lot more awake to everything that's happening in the world, especially now. So you can better, I guess, guide them. And I was learning a lot myself, obviously, especially with my oldest one. I wasn't even an adult, so it is challenging. But now it's good. Now it's paid off, because now he's 13. He plays footy. I go kick the footy with him and go to all his games and active. And whereas my dad had me when I was 40, so when I was sort of 13, he was in his 50s, right? So I'm only 29. So there was a big difference in my childhood as I remember it compared to the relationship I have with my son. So it's good now, but yes, it was very stressful. I was working $250 a week. I was working 5 days a week, $250, cash in hand, going to the tax office. And just trying to save up for cots and change tables. And
I just can't even imagine, because like sometimes, like, I'll be sitting in my house, and like Griffo and I have done pretty well for ourselves, like with lots of traveling, and then we've bought a couple of houses. Both of us were in pretty high paid, well-paying jobs before we had a baby and stuff. But sometimes I'm in the house and I'm like, fuck, how do I have a family home? Like, am I really an adult? Like, I literally have moments, or what? Should I be left alone with my 2.5-year-old? Because, like, really, am I responsible for this little kid's life? And yes, I've kept him alive for the last 2.5 years. But also, I literally have moments all the time where I'm like, fuck, oh my God, am I the adult here? Am I the mum? Like, this is crazy, So I can't even imagine, having a child at 16. Like, that's, wow.
Yeah, but, you learn a lot. And, my job now is to make sure that my son doesn't have a child when he's 16.
Yeah. Is that a fear? Is that a fear of yours?
Well, yeah, because I'll be a grandfather at 32, 33 years old.
You'd be a cool grandfather, though.
I know. But I'm like, well, that should, it might get me a record in the Guinness Book of Records. I'll have to have a look.
Oh my God, that is so wild.
but it'd be crazy. And then if that repeats again, I'll be a great grandfather when I'm 48.
And I'll
Crazy.
probably still be on child number 1.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy though. You know what? It's so crazy the way the world works. But I'm a big believer in that things happen for a reason. And your paths are, you know, you
Yeah.
go through a lot of shit and some difficulties, but ultimately, like in this case, well, now I can see that it was necessary for me to go through the struggles I did with him when I was 16 in order to be the person I am today. I'd be very different if it wasn't. I didn't have the, you know, I wasn't going out when I was 18. Like, don't get me wrong, I did go out occasionally,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like my mates were going out every weekend. Friday night to Sunday night, they were plastered, where I was at home with my son on the weekend. So different, but yeah, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, look,
they
I was
say.
pretty wild at 18. I have to say my wild years were probably 18 and probably until I was about 32.
So it's, you know what, you lived your life, you loved your life, that's all that matters.
Yeah. And that's what I like when people say like Memphis, what if, you know, when he grows up, you know, will he be like you and Griffo, like traveling and crazy? And I'm like, yeah, don't know. He's not having sex. He's not leaving home. He's not taking drugs. He's not doing anything wild and crazy. I just want him to stay that little innocent child forever.
Yeah. It's scary, right? Thinking about when they get older and they start, especially when they go out by themselves and they're 18, like even though they're 18, okay, they're an adult, but still not really. Like we know you're not an adult when you're 18. The fact that 18-year-olds can vote is fucking terrifying.
Oh my God.
Think about your choices when you're 18 till now. Like now you understand the real issues. When you're 18, you don't give a fuck.
I don't know if I do.
I'll wait for them.
I think I'm still working out the real issues.
Yeah, well, I think we all are. They seem to be coming out every few days, but yeah, it's you're not an adult when you're 18, and you know, to think that, you know, our children are going to be 18 and going out on top of that, drinking in seedy clubs by themselves is fucking terrifying.
And what if my child is the seedy guy? Like, do you know what I mean? That's what I think as well. Like, oh no.
The guy in the corner of the club just standing there watching everyone all night. Yeah,
preying on all those girls, like that he's like, you know, like I got it going on. I'm like, no.
You know what? Those guys, you know, before working in mental health, I was a bouncer, right?
Were you?
Yeah,
oh my
I was.
God.
So yeah, I worked quite a few years in nightclubs and pubs and whatnot. But you know what? When I was, obviously it's fun being in a club when you're sober. It's weird.
Yeah.
But you obviously observe so much, right? So
yeah.
you see like the guys who are just so full of confidence. And you're like, man, you shouldn't be. Like, what are you doing? But they walk up, they'll get to like the hottest girl of the place and they'll start dancing with them. They have no fucking shame whatsoever. I'd love to have that confidence. Yeah. I wish I had that confidence.
Well, you know, this is something that I talk about. I've just launched my podcast called Champagne Confidence. And that is because when I was in my 20s, I always had such amazing confidence because I was drunk on champagne. And so I kind of went on a quest to like find that confidence, you know, within myself without being drunk on champagne. And that's what I teach people now, because I think when you are younger, like, do you know what I mean? It's kind of like you do mask your shame with like drinking and all that kind of stuff. And you do have this confident, like I was so confident when I was drunk, but then I was just so in my head and scared of what everyone thought and everything when I was sober. And so, yeah, I kind of have been on a self-love journey for the last 10 years. So yeah, you saying that, I'm like, it definitely, you do, like when you drink, you think that you can take on the world, you can take on everyone. And like, you know, and that's my whole concept of my podcast is like, we can be that person now without being drunk on the champagne.
That's very interesting. But you know, if that's, how are you going with that? Have you unlocked that yet?
Oh, look, I'm a work in progress. I definitely like, I'm a girl now, you know, we spoke about it before you turned the mic on. Like I'll walk through the shopping center in my bra and undies. This is who I am. Like, you know, confidence, building confidence. Like I do it every day. Like I go to the ocean. That's part of me building my confidence because I'm scared of the waves. I'm scared of fucking sharks. I'm scared of seaweed, but I still go in every single day to build that confidence. So that's kind of like what I'm sharing and taking people on that journey with me on my podcast and on my Instagram. And that's kind of how I lead the, you know, kind of the way. So I'm still a work in progress. I'm not 100% confident all the time. I still have days where I doubt myself as a mom. I have days where I doubt the skin that I'm in, the personality, what I've put out there on, to the universe of social media. But what I think is, and what I teach people now is like, we've got to continue to make ourselves uncomfortable to continue to build that confidence. So when I'm feeling uncomfortable and like shit is like, oh, this is really like sucks, and feels gross and shitty, I'm actually building confidence and I'm doing the work. So yeah, I'm definitely a work in progress.
That's a big point. I don't think, I think we're not all of us. There's obviously some people, and you can tell who those people are. When they're extremely out there and loud and all the rest of it. And I love that. But it's something that you do have to build. And back in, I think it was December, I went to a protest out in Sydney, which was important for me. I didn't go to many protests, to be honest.
Yeah.
Just because I felt like at the time I was doing enough with what I was doing with the podcast and my social pages. I was full on, right? And the weekends for me is for my children and my wife. So I was always on a weekend, right? So, but this one in particular was about the children. So obviously I'll go to that one. And I was asked to speak there, which I did. Now, at the time, like the last time I had to speak, to a group of people when I was a manager, right, for the mental health company I work for. And that was fucking traumatizing, speaking to 8 people. I used to fucking hate it. So I used then to go from that to just going, yep, I'll do it, without actually thinking about, okay, fuck, you're speaking to like 20,000 people.
Yeah.
And then when I went there and jumped on the stage with all the people, like it's confronting when you're standing by yourself and you're looking at 20,000 people all staring at you. Oh, fuck. But I got through it with a bit of a sweat, but I got through it. A bit red in the face, but I managed. And that was extremely important. I'll look back at that now, like it was really important to experience that and to know that, because if I got asked to do it again, I'd do it again, depending on the circumstances, but I would do it with less. I wouldn't really hesitate because I know it can't be any worse than what it was the first time.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what I'll take going into that.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what that's how you build confidence,
All right, we're back now. So as you were saying about the confidence, and you mentioned uncomfortable. Now, I've said for a long time, and I've made videos about it, in that a lot of people live in their comfort zone. And that's why I think the majority of people, through the last 2 years have been very willing to just go along with whatever they're told to do, because in order for them to oppose it would mean stepping out of the comfort zone, right?
So, oh my God. Yeah, 100%.
You can't grow. Like I say, you won't grow. You won't go anywhere if you live in your comfort zone. And I feel like my brother's a great example, and I'll talk to him about it all the time, is that he's got a good job, stable job, but he's not appreciated by his boss and the owner of the business. Yeah. I said to him, man, you're so knowledgeable, you're smart, you've been there for fucking 8-9 years. Like, you're not going to progress any further than you are, because above you is the owner of the company. Well, he's not going to give you the business. He's like, he's just because he's comfortable. And it's so important to step out of that comfort zone to grow. You're not going to grow. That's why I have cold showers. I fucking hate it.
Oh my God. That's literally the cold water therapy. That's why I go to the beach every day, like, and get in the cold water, is because fucking feel the pain, feel being uncomfortable. Yeah, 100%. I agree.
One thing I do, and it's very fucking bizarre, that's why I don't speak about it publicly, because people think, what the fuck? Like, I'll probably get a psych assessment. is I will fill the bath up with just straight hot water, no cold water, and I'll stick my feet in it up to sort of halfway up my leg.
Yeah, and burn your feet.
Well, it doesn't burn. Like, there's no damage. It's not hot enough. Like, the water from the tap is limited, right, in terms of temperature.
Yeah, okay.
But it's hot enough to make you go, oh, fuck, like, it's not pleasant. But, after a minute, you sort of, I think it goes numb, to be honest. And and then, I don't, for me, that was a huge thing. I read it. I don't know where I read it once, and I was thinking, that's fucking crazy. But then I thought, I am crazy. So
you are crazy. Oh my God, I love that. Well, okay, so I talked about this on my podcast recently. I actually, when I was really anxious and I was working radio, I would, to make myself uncomfortable, would drive. Like, you're going to think this is not crazy at all. But for me at the time, it was so uncomfortable. I would drive like a different way home from work because that was so uncomfortable for me to go like, okay, I'm going to go the wrong way today. And like, that was huge, and stepping outside my comfort zone. So I think that's weird.
that is
your feet in the hot water.
it's different. It's a different kind of weird. I mean,
It's
what
a
happens
different
if
kind of weird.
what if you got stuck in traffic or you got home half an hour late?
Well, this is the thing. That's part of being uncomfortable and trying new things, you know. And for someone who like I try not to say that I have anxiety because I don't want to be labeled with that. Like, so I experienced anxiety quite severely a few years ago and had some really dark times. And I was working in breakfast radio and I was having panic attacks in the middle of the show. But for me to start off stepping outside my comfort zone and building my confidence again, I used to drive different ways home because I was so set in routine. And anyone who suffers mental health, as you would know, probably from all the work and stuff that you've done, you know, we're so routined a lot of the time and everything is like, you know, we put in boxes or we do over, you know, so that we can survive. And, you know, when I was in this really dark period when I was coming out, I was like, okay, my psych was like, well, could you maybe drive the wrong way home from work? And I was like, okay, yeah. And now I teach that with people, you know, with building confidence. It's like, well, what can you do that makes you uncomfortable? Like today, it could be as simple as driving a different way home and you're not allowed to check your phone. So if you get lost, you got to try and make your way back home, you know, and,
That's interesting.
and come back to yourself. So I like when I teach building confidence, I like to teach with exposure therapy, which is everything that I've done, all the work that I've done on myself, like walking through a shopping center in my bra and undies. That's exposure therapy, you know. I started off just
go back to that. How did you feel before?
It was wild. It was so the reason why I walked through a shopping center in my bra and undies was because I was the girl 10 years ago on a breakfast radio show in Bunbury, Western Australia. And I said that I hated myself and I was covering my arms with like all the time with cardigans in the middle of summer. Like I wouldn't even get in a swimsuit. I was wearing baggy board shorts and a t-shirt or whatever. And when I declared on radio that I hated myself and wasn't comfortable in the skin that I am, that was literally me in the start of my champagne confidence journey, right? Like I was shedding my shit on the radio, telling people how I was truly feeling, took the mask off, was vulnerable. And so from there, I've kind of built myself up to like walk through a shopping center in my bra and undies. Now I don't give a fuck. So when I was teaching these women to come to this workshop of mine to get them to step outside their comfort zone, I was like, what's the next level for me? Like I can get a photo shoot in my bikini on the beach now and I'm not fucking worried. Like I don't care. Like my fucks are saved for the people that are close to me. So I was like, what could I do? And then I said to the girls in my program that I was coaching at the time, who would come and walk through a shopping center in their bra and undies and get a photo shoot in there? Like how uncomfortable and scary. And 7 of them said, we will support you, Heidi, even though we won't go to the beach on our own because we're shit scared. And I was like, right, this is me, exposure therapy, stepping outside my comfort zone, building, you know, my confidence. And so we did it. Just before I walked through the doors, we were absolutely shitting ourselves thinking, what the fuck are we actually doing? Like, this is so crazy and wild. We had like bouncers with us because at the, you know, the shopping center was like, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, there's 8 women walking through a shopping center in their bra and undies. And we walked through, and as soon as those doors opened, I have never felt such peace, believe it or not. Like I felt excited and calm, and someone came over to us and people were cheering, crying. Like we had one lady, Maggie, take her clothes off with us. She was wearing quite sexy underwear for like a almost 75-year-old or 80-year-old. I was like, whoa, you're looking pretty good there, girl. I've got like my bloody maternity bra and undies on, and she's like got all this sexy underwear, but she took her clothes off in the middle of the shopping center crying. And, you know, we had someone walk over to us and they're like, what are you girls protesting? And I was like, we're not protesting. And then I was like, actually, no, yeah, we are. We're basically saying up yours to society's expectations and bullshit beauty standards. And we're taking our power back. So yeah, we are fucking protesting actually. And it was one moment in my life that I will never forget. It went viral. Heaps of people shared it. And I think that's how your wife came across me. I think people were sharing it on Instagram. My friend Christian Hull, who's just a crazy funny fucker, he was all over it, loving it, sharing it on his socials. And I then got picked up by SBS after that. And we did like the whole, like we ended up doing a documentary with them. And it was life-changing. It was, and that is exposure therapy. That is like building your confidence, like feel the fear, do it anyway. And now I'm going to hopefully be doing like walks of no shame around Australia when I release my book soon.
Oh, I'll be getting that if I don't, my
Yeah,
wife,
you can walk. You can walk. You can get Jasmine. You can get Jasmine in the walk of no shame with us.
you know what? That's true though, because you know what? Quickly back to the Marvel. I have so many fucking Marvel shirts, right? It's probably an embarrassment. If people like, I've got a Spider-Man shirt, a Captain America
Yeah.
shirt. I never wear them in public for that reason. Like people are looking at me like I'm a fucking weirdo, like I'm a nerd. Like,
Maybe you've got to wear it in public now.
I'm going to next time I go. I want to dress up. I'll take a photo and send it to you.
Yes,
Wear my
please.
Spider-Man
Because
shirt.
this is the thing. You obviously worry what people think, but it's like, save those fucks for the people around you. 20% of the time, like I don't give a fuck. Like 80% of the time, I don't give a fuck what people think. 20% of the time I do. And that's the people that are around me that are close. And, I'm not going to worry about the person in the beach or the shopping center who judges me for wearing a bikini and says that I'm not aesthetically pleasing, or do you know what I mean? That I should be wearing a bikini. Like, because to be honest, I'm never going to think about that person again. They're probably never going to think about me ever again. They might have had that moment of judgment, but who gives a shit? So
Yeah,
I reckon wear that shirt, boy.
I will. I'll wear it out there. I was like, because look, I got me and my son got matching Marvel shirts, and I'll wear it when we have our every Friday night, and now Saturday nights we have a Marvel night where we sit down and eat popcorn and shit and watch the movie. We all dress up in matching superhero clothes. I'm like, all right, next time, that's it. I'm going. The next time comes, like, yeah, nah, but not. But you know what though? In saying that, I will say this is that about probably towards the back end of last year, people started recognizing me in public, right? So that was a huge thing for me because I never had that before. I used to go to the shops not giving a fuck what I was wearing, how I looked. I used to rock up in pajamas, if slippers, I don't give a fuck. Now though, because I know that people will recognize me, and only 2 nights ago, I had someone outside of Coles literally stand outside and wait for me to say hello, which I love that, right? But at the same time, it's like people might recognize me. I don't recognize them. Obviously, I can't know everyone that follows me, but I don't recognize people. They see me. So I'm like, I can't really look like shit, or I'm going to take a little bit of pride in my appearance, right? Well, that's right. But I don't know. That's something that I've had to learn to deal with because I've typically been a very socially anxious person. That's why it took me a minute to get the podcast going, because I was like, when I first started it, I was like, I was really nervous about it, and because they're like this, right? They're free flowing. It's not scripted. I don't have a list of questions I asked you. We just talk, normal conversation. So that was a huge step for me as well to get the show started, just to get it started. So I am breaking down those barriers as I go along with what I'm doing, but it's a weird, obviously, what it's like being, recognized in public. It's at first it's very confronting. I can't even get over the fact that people want to the fact that people like me, I like and support me. I can't get my head around that in itself is weird, right? It's different.
But I think it's like taking that moment and like accepting that. And like, I think one of the things that I'm kind of been going through as well, like with my healing journey and stuff, is like actually being really seen in those moments where we're not perfect, or you know what I mean, like where we do look a bit like shit, or you know what I mean, and like we're so afraid to be fully seen sometimes, and that's and it is scary. But like I remember when I came out of Big Brother, which was in 2013, and mate, I couldn't even walk through an airport. The show was still live. Like it was insane. It took me, I think, to walk through Melbourne Airport like almost 3 hours. I was lucky that we were there early because it was so hectic. People just taking photos, wanting to talk. It was insane. I'd never experienced anything like that. And I was quite anxious with my time in the house. The last week, I didn't really know how to talk about my anxiety, and I was feeling really anxious and didn't like how I was kind of the last week. So it was pretty hectic. I felt your social anxiety. I could feel that too for me. But I remember like I was getting so many photos and I was just like, do you know what? I just have to embrace that some people are going to put up a photo where they look good and I have 10 chins. And, that was me again, like just accepting that that's actually not who I am if I've got like 10 chins in these photos. Cause I was getting so many selfies and people were tagging me in them. And I was like, fuck, oh my God, I look like, I've got 20 chins, or that's a terrible photo of me or whatever. And I just remember thinking like, that's what I fucking look like. So I just have to get over it. And I just have to move on. And it's just one photo. It doesn't define who I am. It's not like what I really look like. I say quotation marks. Like, do you know what I mean? Like maybe, like I always do fun photos now on Instagram where I've got like 10 chins and post it on my story. But that's me exposing myself to being uncomfortable. Like, that's how I do little bits of like work as I like to call it. Like I do 1% towards like building my confidence every day. And if I make those 1% changes every day, that's 365 by the end of the year. So that's why I do uncomfortable things, like where I might look like the ugliest, 20 chins in the world person, because that's how I build my confidence. And when I got out of Big Brother, I was like, I can't control what people think of me, and I can't control what photos are out of me. So I just have to embrace it. I'm not going to be like, sorry, can't take a photo. Don't put that photo up. I look like a heifer.
That's
So
right.
that's how I think I kind of started to just, become more confident in the way that I am, because, by actually making myself uncomfortable.
What do you think causes that? Because we all, as children, we remember, like, when you're a kid, you don't give a fuck. Like, you break down in the middle of an aisle because you didn't get a toy. Like, you don't give a fuck what anyone thinks about you.
Yeah.
Then we hit a certain point, which I think is probably teenage, 13, where you don't want to be seen holding mummy's hand anymore and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Something happens where all of a sudden, you're more conscious of what the people around you think. I don't know what exactly causes that, whether it's just biological, where that just happens, or whether there's a few factors. Well, I think there's a few factors. I know that it's a lot harder, I feel, for women, only because you seem to, and this is just what I see from my wife anyway, maybe you're different, but a lot of the time, you spend a lot of time looking at the content of other women. And when I mean other women, I mean Kardashians and all the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
You've had that much shit shot into them that, what you're seeing isn't really them, right? Let's be honest. And I don't know whether it's, I'm sure it's not intentional. It's just maybe subconsciously you start comparing yourself.
Oh, 100%.
Saying, where their positives, maybe their lips, their ass, their whatever it is. And you start thinking and comparing it to yourself. And I feel like that's a lot of the issue for women. That's just my personal take on it.
Yeah. I guess for me, like, from a young age, like, so all the recent healing stuff that I've been doing, right, taps into a lot of your subconscious. So the way that, you should definitely get someone on your podcast to talk about this, because I am no fucking expert, and this is me just, what I've been learning recently with all my mindset stuff. We get like, I think it's like 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day come from our subconscious. And so many of them come from our childhood. So it might be what we've seen on the TV, what we've heard our parents talk about their weight or diets, or, it might be like one of my first kisses, right? His name was Maddie. I'll never forget it. I still remember what I was wearing, and we kissed, we had a pash, and I was like feeling myself like, fuck yeah, I'm pretty awesome. And then he went off with the boys and they were like, oh my God, you've kissed the fat one. And that stayed with me. And then I projected like, and so much of like, my anxieties and everything outwards after that, because I would spend so much time in my head, and that just kept rolling over and over and over in my head. Like, I'm the fat one, I'm the fat one. And that's when, like, all just that one thing that he said, like, I've had to go back and do, work through like NLP, hypnosis and stuff like that to help with that psychology. But that was like one of those major moments in my life that literally sent me on the journey that I had of like, hating myself, the self-hate, the torture. And then, we read magazines and we look on magazines and they're comparing all these body sizes. And, and another thing that happened to me, which was in my 20s, was another similar thing. I was hooking up with a guy. We were such good mates. We had so much fun. And that's what it was. And I had a big crush on him. I'd just broken up with my first serious boyfriend. And I remember I shouldn't have, but I did. I looked in his phone, fucking idiot. And, he was in my bag, and it was something like, his mate was like, oh, you fucking the fat one again.
That would have taken you straight back to your...
things. But then, and then because I've got that subconscious thought in there, and then I've picked up that phone and seen that, and there's my validation. You are the fat one. You are the fat one. So those stories just keep going in my head. And I think that's what happens in society, from such a young age, we're fed these expectations. We're told that women should look a certain way from such a young age. We hear parents, friends, families talking about it. And those seeds are planted from when we're so young. And, for me, that's why it's like doing the work now with Memphis being 2.5, like having conversations about how he's great. Like, we're grateful that he's got 2 legs and he's got beautiful arms that he can cuddle his mum in. Not like, he's not going to be defined by what he looks like or what he should look like, or, should have abs, not have abs, like whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I'm trying to do the work with him from such a young age now, so that I don't have to do the work now he doesn't have to do the work now in his 30s. Thank you. just getting a bit of a postal.
No, you're right.
It's not even my house. Thank you.
You know what? It's true though, what you're saying about, especially your childhood, because kids are little pricks. Let's be honest. Kids are nasty.
Oh my
right?
God.
We all were as kids, and some more than others. And you know, a lot of that. And you know what? I used to be a little prick at school. I'm not going to lie. I was a bit of a fuckwit, especially early in high school, year 7, year 8. I was you know, I regret that deeply. More so because I understand how I made other people feel now, and I hope that none of my actions caused them to. Well, they didn't take any of that into their adulthood. I hope not. But you know, you can't really blame kids either. Kids are kids, right?
No, and like this is the thing, right? Like I have not been perfect either. Like I've said some really mean things to people over the years. And, you know, I think I wrote an article and I spoke about it on radio years ago, like how I actually was a mean girl, like at times in high school. And, you know, what I said to people, like could have been them taking their own lives. Like, do you know what I mean? Like what we kind of, you know, we were mean, and we were lucky we didn't have social media or anything like that, so people could actually go home and switch off. But, you know, I took responsibility for that, because I like, and they're the conversations that I want to have with my child growing up. Like, I just want him to know to be kind, always kind to himself, because that's one of the biggest issues that we have, is because what's going on in our head, we're then saying all these nasty, horrible things to ourselves, and then kind to others. Like that's all I ask of what I want him to be and what I'm trying to create, you know, in our household of a mum, because I can't change what I did. And I wish that I could take back some of the things that I'd, you know, said or done over the years to other people, because I now know we're seeing like the repercussions and how hectic it is with our children, you know, on social media and stuff. And it just breaks my heart. But yeah, like I said, my mission is to just for him to be kind to himself and kind to others.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we need to focus more on our strengths, even as adults. We need to focus, especially as adults, focus on our strengths and not, you know, our weaknesses and the negatives, because it's very easy to do that. And, you know, workplaces are another problem because you're judged on your performance, right? And
mate, coming from radio, bloody hell, that's all I was judged on, you know?
That's right. Ratings and whatnot. That'd have been
tough.
How did you find the morning radio?
Oh, like so much love for that. Like I loved being in a radio studio. I loved being on. I loved talking, as you can tell, and connecting with people and telling stories and that kind of thing. But for me, it was like the politics that used to go on behind the scenes, and like, you know, they'd put you in shows where it was like 2 guys, 1 girl a lot of the time. And, you know, like for someone who wants to have an opinion and, you know, been doing like my own personal development work now, like it was hard sometimes to be felt like I was being heard. And, you know, so it sometimes was really tough, but then also I've had like some of the greatest experiences ever. So radio was a hell of a lot of fun.
Were you doing, because there's normally 2, 6 to 9, 9 to 12. Which one were you doing?
Yeah, so we were the breakfast show. So I was like, when I worked in Bunbury and Newcastle, it was like 5:30 till 9:30 or whatever, and then in Perth it was 6 till 9 a.m.
How do you? I could not imagine getting up at
I'm a morning person,
5 o'clock, and jumping on the microphone and being so boom at 6 o'clock in the morning.
And this is the thing, like when you start to talk about like content, or you know, and you're really passionate about something, and then your co-host like, no, that sounds like, why would I want to talk about that? I want to talk about this. Like, I want to talk about Marvel. I want to talk about confidence. Like, so, you know, at 5:30 in the morning, you're tired and you're then trying to put together a show. Like, it would get a bit hectic with egos and, you know, people's opinions and all that kind of stuff. But look, I did it for 10 years. And so getting up early for me is quite natural and normal still now. Like, I get up at 5 a.m. now to do some things for me before Memphis wakes up just after 6. And I am at my peak in the morning. Like I could record this podcast at 5 a.m. and, you know, I'd be on.
Yeah, no, not me. I'm very, anyone that's been on the show will tell you I didn't do anything before 10 a.m. The only one I did early was when I had David Icke on, and I had to do that like 2:30 in the morning. That was fucking brutal. That was brutal.
Oh my God. That's putting it out there for this podcast. That's 2:30 recording. That I wouldn't do that. That's amazing.
It was tough, but you know, it's one of those people where you're like, well, I can't really negotiate times with him. Like if he wants to do it at 2:30, well, fuck, we'll do it at 2:30.
See, I would have probably tried to negotiate.
No, it was hard. Yeah, I know. It was tough, but You know, I just, but I used to be there. I used to be able to get up 4:30. I used to do it. So I used to write before. I used to do a lot of blogs, and I'd get up at 4:35, and I would do an hour or two of writing before I would go to my normal job.
Yeah,
And then work,
see?
because it's hard to write and concentrate when the kids are awake, right? So I used to do it while they're still in
Yeah.
bed. Whereas now, when did I think it was August. I got sacked at the end of August for not complying with the mandate. So since August, I've been doing all this. Just that's all I'm doing, right? So
Yeah.
I've switched it up a little bit, but in saying that, from the minute I wake up to the time I go to bed, I don't stop. I've had a day off since a year. I've never had a day off where I've switched off, not one. So I am getting tired now, though. I'm noticing it's harder for me to get up in the morning. I think I'm just so mentally fucked.
Mate,
on
yeah, you
everything.
would. And like, well, you've been fighting so many people's battles, right? You've been putting yourself out there for so many other people. Like, you need to take time. Like, that's literally the shit that I teach people, Christopher.
Yeah.
Is it Christopher or Christian?
Christian.
That's literally what I teach. That's literally what I teach people, like, to take time out, because you can't keep giving, you know. And that's why I like to do it in the 5 a.m. hour, because it's peaceful, it's quiet. Like, I'll do a bit of yoga, I'll do a bit of meditation, I'll watch some, like, or listen to podcast or read a bit of a book or whatever, and just take that time for me. And that was an absolute game changer after coming from radio. But like, literally why I'm tapped out now is because I got to stop. I got to slow down. So you need to fucking do that.
Yeah, but you see, we I guess, look, I'll look at this as slowing down, right? So for the best part of 6 months, I was speaking to people like the doctors I've had on, and really intelligent people. I've got to be professional face on, right? And switch my brain on.
And then you've got me, really intelligent people, and then you've got me.
No, don't think that. No, you know what? Honestly, I was doing that for I said 6 months nonstop. And then I thought, you know what? Fuck, I want to have a little bit of fun, because they're serious conversations, right? Talking about really important issues. So
yeah,
I was like, I want to really have fun though. Like, I want to have fun. And so I started to talk to, I've had a few athletes on, Jake Matthews. I don't know if you know of Jake Matthews.
I know that name.
Yeah, he's Victoria, but he fights in the UFC, so he's a current UFC fighter. So I had him on. Then I thought, fuck, I really enjoyed that, because I love the UFC. I love combat sports. So I was like, okay, well, why can't I keep doing that? So while I have sort of changed it up a bit, some people aren't happy, but you know what? It's my fucking life. And if it's my show, my life. So I'll do what I want to do. And I feel like these conversations adds another element to the show. And why, you know, a certain amount of people may not want to hear it. That's fine. That's their choice, right? You don't have to listen to it, but there's people who benefit greatly from this conversation that we're having. So it's important to be, I guess, to diversify guests and topics and all the rest of it. But for me, I enjoy this. Like, I did enjoy doing what I was doing at the beginning, but it was more of like I'm doing other people a favor as well, if that makes sense.
You felt like it was your duty, like you were being the voice for so many people. And I think that's a lot of responsibility. Do you know what I mean? And like, I think that's why a lot of people looked up to you, including myself, because maybe we're too afraid to say what we really truly felt ourselves on our own platforms, or, you know, in our own circles of friends and stuff like that. But, you know, when we're putting together content, and this is the thing, my friend Christian Hull recently literally just posted, this vulnerability overshare, like crying, and like, he's the funny guy on social media, right? Like, he's the one that's totally taking the piss.
I haven't heard of him. What's his name? Christian
Hull. Oh, my God, you would love him. He's a mental case. He, you know, people, like, he talked about like how people started to disown him because he wanted people to pay for his content. Now, this is, if people want him to keep creating content, he needs to be able to find the joy in what he's doing for some of it. And he also should be paid. Like, if that's, do you know what I mean? Like, that's a way of him to make money. And like, people just expect so much sometimes.
That's what I was going to mention, because that's an important topic for me. I'd like to speak about it. So I just followed Christian, by the way.
Yes. Oh my God, you'll love him.
But his bio, his shop's called Fuck Off Shop. So I'm already a fan. So
well,
you know what?
I thought your wife might have found me through Christian.
No, I never heard of him, but I followed him now. So, but you know, that's something I want to speak about, because I feel like that's something that's holding me back a little bit, and it shouldn't be, but it is. So everything I've done from the beginning, everything, this episode, every single thing I've done is free, right? You can jump on the platform. This is not free. It doesn't cost you anything, right? So at the end of it, it's very, like, this is easy. Me and you talking is easy. It's not hard to have a conversation. What's hard is reaching out to people, getting that contact with them, because it's not easy. Some of the guests I had on are fucking massive. So it's hard to even get in contact with them, right? Then I've got to organize it, then prepare all the rest of it. That's a lot of work and time. So I thought, well, you know what? People find value in my show. They enjoy it. So I thought, what can I do? Obviously generate a bit of income from the show, but still give it for free, but to the people that really support the show. So I thought, well, I'll create that Patreon, which I did.
That's what he did.
Yeah, and Prime Mod Premium. And a lot of people have been okay with that, but you get the comments like you're all about money. I'm like, no, I'm fucking not all about money. If I was all about money, I'd be charging you to be here or vice versa. And I'm not about money at all in the slightest. But I put a lot of time and a lot of work and a lot of effort. As I said, I haven't had a day off and I work nonstop. I sacrifice time with my kids and my wife to do this. So, to me, I'm like, well, that's something that if people want to support the show, they can. But if they don't want to, that's totally fine as well, whatever. And then I thought, well, because I speak to a lot of people about health, right? And often speak about the supplements that I take. And people often ask me a lot of questions about them. What do you take? What benefits are there and so on. And I had a lot of affiliate codes where, you know what it's like, people use a code and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I was doing that. And then, but I ended up I have good relationships with all the brands that I work with. So I thought, well, you know what? I'm in a position where I can probably I have my own online store. I thought I'll start stocking their products. So I've worked out wholesale accounts with them. And now I'm like a reseller of their products on my store, which is cool because I use all of them. I believe in them. So I thought, well, that's something I can do as well to generate a bit of income.
Yeah.
And people are paying no more for them than what they would pay from the supermarkets or whatever, or even the brands. It's the same price, but they're supporting me rather than a big supermarket or pharmacy chain, right?
Yeah.
But people still have a problem with that. It's like, I'm not putting a gun to your head telling you to fucking buy it. Like, if you want to buy it, buy it. If you don't, that's fine. Like, whatever. But to say that I'm doing everything for money, that's one thing that does piss me off.
That pisses me off. And you know what? I will say to someone who is, if that is your choice right now, and that's your choice of words that you've been using, my thing is you're placing expectations on Chris that aren't his. And then you're sitting there and having to justify yourself. And that's not fair because like you said, you've got time away from your family. You don't fucking owe anyone shit. You owe no one shit. You have done the work to build your brand, which is also what I coach people in, like marketing and building brands and stuff and making money from that. You have built that and you can sell whatever the fuck you want. What I would tell you to do is I would tell you to make ads with those affiliate codes and I would start putting them on your podcast, because the thing is, that is how you will make money so that you can continue to actually get these big guests, so you can continue to do and create all these awesome conversations around all the things that are happening in the world. Because at the end of the day, you're going to burn out and you're not going to be able to do it if you don't have that, that kind of pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? Like you need to make money from this. You don't owe anyone anything.
No, that's right.
To me, that it's disappointing that people say that. And I would ask for them to look at themselves and say, like, why do you expect him to give you free content? Like, why? Is it because what's going on with you? Like, do you know what I mean? Like that you are placing your expectations on someone else. Like we should be grateful. It's the same thing that happened to Christian was when he went on Patreon and he's got like staff and everything. Like he's millions and millions of followers and people just want him to like create funny videos. Like he's making you feel and changing your day every single day. That guy is worth more than fucking $10 a month. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like, that's where I think it's really disappointing that people are saying that. And that's shit. And as you can tell, I got very passionate about that. Yeah. But I would tell you, I will message you how you can, like, I know Angie Lee, she's like an amazing podcaster in the US. You know how she makes so much of her money? She has millions of downloads on her podcast, but she has affiliate codes and she turns those into little fun ads in the middle of her show. And that's where she pushes people, like, and that's how you can create this. And people are like, oh, I don't want to listen to ads. Well, sorry, tough luck. Sometimes you do, because that's how I'm going to make my money so I can feed my 5 kids. Yeah, and then also bring you the content that you want.
That's right. And the craziest part is these same people were like, well, you pay, like if you want to read a book, you buy the book. If you want to watch a movie, you go to the cinemas, you'll pay for tickets. Or if you like a particular artist, you'll pay to listen to their music on Spotify or whatever it is. And it's like, I don't understand this. It's a weird space though. And it's like, well, the problem that I have is that I have to be a little bit different because I'm very different in itself. But I mean, YouTube won't monetize my content. They've already rejected it for literally no reason, but we all know the reason, right?
Yeah.
It's the same as Instagram. I tried adding a store to Instagram with my online store. They declined it. We all know the reason why. So I've had episodes removed from platforms because of what I talk about. So it's very hard for me. I have to jump over 1,000 fences to get to where the average person who just buys into everything and just goes along with the narrative because they can, they got to jump 1 or 2 fences. I've got to jump 1,000 to get to the same spot.
Yeah.
So if you support me, then terrific. Then you can subscribe on Patreon, no problem. Or you don't have to. That's fine. I'm fine either way. But it's an option. But this whole concept of that people expect everything for free, nothing is for free. Nothing.
No.
And you've got subscriptions to Disney Plus, Netflix, Spotify, all the rest of them. You pay for them
1,000%.
because you support them. Now, my show is content. It's no different. It's weird. It's a strange space, but it's okay.
But also I would say to people as well, like, what are you like? This is the thing, right? It's like a mirror reflection. So like, what issues do you have in your life around money? That's what I would be asking. Like, you know, how, like, then it reflects back on you. And it's like, if you're so fucking tight that you won't support someone who is literally a change maker, who is doing this out of the love of changing the world for your children, you know, like I guess I wouldn't want them as a listener anymore, because I would be like, well, you can unsubscribe. You don't have to listen. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's plenty of free content, but this is the thing. It's like those expectations that we just keep placing on people. And I think that sucks. And you're worth every penny because you are a content creator and you should be paid for that. You've built a brand, a successful brand that people wouldn't know the information that they know to like make the decisions that they're making if they didn't have you chasing those interviews and stuff like that. As you can tell, I'm very passionate.
And you should be, because it's a confusing, I guess. Well, it's not confusing for us. It's straightforward, but for some people, they seem to be a little bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Where there's an expectation, as you said, where because I speak about the things that I speak about, they think that people like myself and many others shouldn't be profiting from it. It's like, well, I'm not profiting from that. Like, if you go to my store and you buy ancestral tabs, which are great, by the way, plug. But seriously, if you buy them, like, you're getting a product for your money. You're not paying me the $80 for the capsules and getting nothing. Right? And it's the same as my Patreon. Like, okay, yes, you're paying money, but you're also getting to listen to the podcast before anyone else. They're released in there early, right? You're getting all these other things that I have on there. You can, if you're on there, you can ask guests a question, which is, I wish I could do that to some of my shows, right? I'd love to ask the guests a question. So, and I take time out of the episode and I sit down with the guest. I've got to convince them to let me ask them a fan question, which some of them are okay, some aren't. But, you know, and then they get the question answered. That's pretty cool. That's a level of engagement they wouldn't otherwise have. So I find it beneficial, but for some reason, it's just, I don't know.
But also, you shouldn't have to fucking justify that. At the end of the day, you shouldn't have to justify the fact that this is how you are building, you know, your family's life and empire, your own empire. And, you know, they could be jealous because they're not doing the same thing, you know?
Well, I think a lot of it has to be jealousy. I don't like labeling people as jealous, because I'm a normal person, right? And you know what I'm saying. I don't feel like I'm better than anyone else. So jealousy for me is a weird term, right? But there has to be some of it. It has to be there, because I could not imagine taking time out of my day to criticize another person for making money for their family.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Well, and it comes back to how happy they are in their life, you know, and that's a whole other topic for another day. Like, you know, the way that people they're criticizing online and having all these things to say. And I think it reflects back to you, like, how happy are you in your own life that you want to say that to someone else and you want to tear someone else down? You know, massive part of my success is because I celebrate all of the women that I have around me, you know, and the men, but like, I very much am focused on, you know, the groups that I've created and the communities that I've created. And it's all about celebration over competition any day. And I am for anyone making money, however they need to make money when they're putting themselves out there.
Yeah. And that's right. And it was unfortunate that, you know, I did get put off due to the mandates from a job I loved. And I've persevered and I've found a way to look after my family, and that's it. I'm proud of that. But it's to the point where, you know, some people you can't reason with unreasonable people. That's the thing. And a lot of those people are just completely unreasonable.
Yeah, 100%.
But anyway, it's going to cut us off again. So we'll end it here anyway. But listen, it's been a pleasure. You can come back anytime.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming to my TED talk there where I got really passionate.
It's good. I love passion. Passion is my favorite thing to see.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. And like I said, you're doing amazing things and you deserve, like, you need to put, like I said, ads in here and, like, you know, how we can support in different ways, because like that's how we can get around each other, you know?
Yeah. And we've got our own community, which is cool. Our own little community online. And that's one thing I'm very proud of, is the community I've built on my pages. Yeah. And yeah, it's connecting not only me with other people that I would normally have. So like Kelly Slater's in my inbox. Like, it's fucking insane. Right?
Oh,
that's
my
insane.
God, I love that.
It's like, yeah, but it's insane. It's like, it still spins me out that, why the fuck is he talking to me for? Like, really? Yeah. But that's the community that we've built. We're interact with people we wouldn't have otherwise interacted with, and we're all passionate about the same thing. So it's a great thing.
Legend. I love you. Thank you so much. I'm not Kelly Slater, but I'm Heidi Anderson.
Heidi Anderson. Thanks, Heidi. I appreciate it.
Thanks, legend.